Have you ever went to watch a spooky movie and after you started watching said to yourself, is this really a horror movie? We here at Three Lame Guys have also asked ourselves this question many times. As you can tell, we're a fan of the genre. TJ and I asked Google to give us a list of horror movies in the last 20 years and then decided we would tell you. Is it a horror movie? Before we get started, there are rules as to what we consider a horror movie. Number 1, the main theme has to be horror related. Number 2, there has to be a metaphysical aspect. Number 3, it doesn't have to be R-rated, but it kind of does. Number 4, the good guys never truly win. And number 5, we do not include slashers on our list, just to bug you. All right, first on the list tonight, The Skeleton Key. I believe this was 2004, 2005-ish. A lot of voodoo magic going on, locked in the house, and there's some chicanery going on there. But what do you think, TJ? Is The Skeleton Key a horror movie or not?
I would consider it a horror movie, especially like the whole plot of I'm going to steal your body and you're going to be trapped in this old, decrepit, dying body and there's nothing you can literally do about it. So I would consider it a horror movie.
I think so. I like how there are aspects in there you don't really know until the end what's going on, and then when the younger guy starts playing along with the older lady, you're like, oh, there might be something to this. And it turns out there was something to it. In fact, it wasn't voodoo, it was hoodoo. That's right. So, Skeleton Key. We're starting off strong tonight. Skeleton Key, it's a horror movie. Albeit PG-13, it is a horror movie. Up next on the list, the cult classic Zombeavers.
Oh, yes.
Zombeavers. TJ, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of pushback from this, but I don't think Zombeavers is a horror movie at all.
Absolutely not. Definitely not a horror movie. I would consider it more of a comedy than anything else. I mean, it was a stupid movie.
It really was.
So, not a horror movie.
If you haven't seen Zombeavers, go check it out if you can still find it. It's definitely one of those late night sci-fi 2 o'clock in the morning kind of type of movies. No budget, and Zombeavers.
Yeah, I mean, the name says it all.
There you go. So, TJ, Zombeavers? Nah.
Nope.
All right, up next on the list, Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. What do you think about Van Helsing, TJ?
See, I thought this was more of an action movie than it was anything else. Yeah, it's like, oh, he's fighting vampires and stuff, but it was more action than anything.
So normally we have the rule in the fact that if it's a vampire movie, it kind of makes the list because it's a vampire movie and vampire's a horror movie. But to TJ's point, this isn't a vampire movie so much it is about Van Helsing, and there just happens to be a Frankenstein monster and a vampire there. And a werewolf. Don't forget the werewolves. Don't forget rule 1. Rule 1 is the main theme has to be horror. It can't have more of something else than horror. Van Helsing to me wasn't even scary, but 100% this is an action movie. Van Helsing, as much as I love the movie, it's one of my favorite movies, by the way, but is it a horror movie? Nope, sure not. Well, if you watched part 1 of our installment, you know how we're going to feel about this next movie, Pearl, with Mia Goth. Pearl with Mia Goth. And Mia Goth is a pearl, but was Pearl a pearl? No, it wasn't. Not only do we not think this is a horror movie, we don't even think it was a good movie. It could have been a good movie. It had every aspect and thing there to be a good movie, or even be a good horror movie. They couldn't pull it off. They couldn't pull it off. I don't know what A24 was thinking with this whole franchise. TJ, have I said anything that is wrong?
No, you have not. Honestly, it was like when I watched the movie, I was bored out of my mind. It was skip forward, yes. skip forward. Like I would consider it more, if anything, more towards the slasher vibe. But even then, it was so boring that I could not get into it. Found nothing about this to be a horror movie at all.
Maybe the last 20 seconds where she's chasing the other girl down with the axe or whatever she's chasing her down. I think it was an axe. That's how much I liked it. I don't remember. Pearl, is it a horror movie?
No.
So this one is it's probably more niche. You might have seen it. You might not. It's called The Dark and the Wicked. I believe we watched it on AMC Plus, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'll put in an edit here to where we actually did watch it. But The Dark and the Wicked, well, it's dark and wicked. TJ, what did you think about The Dark and the Wicked?
I thought it was very dark, and there was a good amount of wickedness to it.
A little bit of wicked, a little bit of dark.
I mean, there was a lot of creepy parts to it. It was one of those movies where it's like, I watched it attentively and was like, this has got some scary stuff to it, so I would definitely consider it a horror movie.
I'm in agreement with you. The Dark and the Wicked, despite how dark and wicked it is, it was just enough dark and wicked. Not too dark, not too wicked, but just enough dark and wicked.
Just enough dark just enough wicked.
Is it a horror movie?
Yes.
Yes. All right, up next on the list, There's Something Wrong with the Children. If you haven't seen There's Something Wrong with the Children, you haven't been a parent. There's Something Wrong with the Children has more of a sci-fi feel to it. It's not spooky. Well, it is spooky, but it's not overtly scary. There's not a big presence there. There's a lot more questions than there are answers. And I do believe, again, don't quote me on it, but I think aliens are the main culprit in this. And you know our rule about aliens.
See, I don't even remember if it was aliens. I just remember like a big pit or something.
Big pit, something
like
in the
in
pit.
some ruins or something like that. But I mean, at no point, like other than there just being something wrong with the children in the movie, there was nothing really outside of that scary. I mean, kids are just creepy enough on their own.
That's true. They don't need a whole lot of help.
But I would not consider this a horror movie.
I gotta say, TJ, I'm with you on that one. There's Something Wrong with the Children. No. Up next, and this one kind of pains me because I love the trilogy. And yes, this kind of breaks our rules a little bit, but Fear Street. There are 3 of them. It's kind of like a 6-hour, 3-part movie, so we just kind of looped it together. Again, don't forget, this is from Google, not from me. Google knows more than me, except whether or not it's a horror movie, because Fear Street is a slasher. And TJ, what's the rule?
Can't be a slasher.
Just go back and watch the first video. We explain everything. So, Fear Street? No, sorry, slasher.
Good movies, but
great movies. Yes.
Not really horror.
Up next on the list, the 2023 remake or reboot, I guess, of Boogeyman. I was prepared to be let down by this film, and I kind of was. It's hard to make a Boogeyman movie and not call it a horror movie. TJ, what did you think about Boogeyman?
So I liked Boogeyman movie. I liked the fact that it was like they don't really show like the true form of the Boogeyman like as in other Boogeyman movies or other kind of creature-esque movies where they show you the form and you're left disappointed. Now, I mean, I know that it was like, yeah, you see the form of it, but it's really dark whenever you see the form. So it's like, it's not something that's brought into the light near as much, but there was a lot of creepiness with it. And I mean, just for that, I would say horror movie.
Horror movie indeed, but it's not official until we give it the old thumbsy up or thumbsy downy. But what do you think about Boogeyman, TJ? It's a horror movie. Hell House LLC. Hell House, if you haven't seen it, is one of them found footage kind of things where basically this group of people take over an old abandoned hotel and turn it into a haunted house. They're filmmakers from New York. They're going to video everything. They're going to make this haunted house. Apparently, that's what they're in the business of, is making haunted houses.
Yeah, so they go around like for Halloween or whatever, and they do these haunted house things, and they rent out a place, and they decorate it and invite everybody, and
it's a big old party.
Yeah.
Big old party. Well, in this one, things go awry. Turns out the haunted hotel is actually haunted. Mm-hmm. And some things went down there. Yep. And some things got left behind. Which we find out, it's found footage. It culminates into one evening where a bunch of things happen. I love it. They made several of these, by the way. They didn't quite hold up as well as the first one. There's a new one coming out, too, by the way. I don't know if I told you that.
No.
Here in 2025. So we're just going to say Hell House, LLC. Is it a horror movie?
Yes.
You're damn right. Good movie and a horror movie. And that's the other thing, kids. Just because we may say, no, it's not a horror movie, doesn't mean we don't think it's a good movie. After all, look at Pearl. It's neither. All right, up next, this is one of my favorite movies, but alas, I don't know if it's going to make the cut. The Visit. TJ, you remember The Visit?
I do remember The Visit.
Another kind of kids shooting a video at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Turns out it may not be Grandma and Grandpa. It's one of those movies, too, that it kind of gut wrenches you, too, because you feel like it's something can actually happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's not a horror movie. It's not a horror movie.
No, it's definitely creepy. There's a lot of creepiness with it. Like, I mean, the diaper scene.
The diaper scene.
Gross.
If you don't know what we're talking about, watch this clip. Just kidding. I ain't going to make you do that. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy.
But like, these kids, they're going around and, they're visiting grandma and grandpa, and I guess their mom hasn't had a whole lot of contact with them, or, so they just the mom just kind of drops them off and it's like, hey, and this is your grandma and grandpa's house. So they go in and they just start acting weird and start doing some weird stuff. And very creepy stuff.
Very.
But I mean, yeah, it's something that could happen, but there's not really any, I wouldn't consider it a horror.
I think it's close.
It's very close.
But had it turned out that it was Grandma and Grandpa and they were possessed by something else, it gets more there. But the fact is, it's just two crazy people that have escaped from a mental asylum. By the way, if you haven't watched it yet and I'm spoiling this for you, that's your fault for still listening. But go ahead and like the video while you're here. That would absolutely hate us. That would absolutely, I would hate that so much if you just like the video
Yeah,
right now.
just like and subscribe. I mean, just
But
we don't want you to do that.
No,
but, you know,
no.
you should, but we don't want you to.
We don't want
you
you.
should, but we don't want you to.
Don't do it. But because there's no metaphysical aspect to it, it's just two crazy people pretending to be two other people. You know, it's not. So The Visit, it's not. Good movie though.
Yeah.
Good movie. All right, 2 left on the list, and we're going to throw out another one that I think again is a good movie, but will it make the cut? And that is Apollo 18. Apollo 18, if you haven't seen it, is about the Apollo mission that never happened, allegedly, to where we went to the moon and did not come back because there were aliens on the moon or something like that. And we might have
The moon rocks for the aliens.
the moon rocks were the aliens. Yes, yes, and they were some mean moon rocks.
Yep.
I thought Apollo 18 was it was definitely a spooky movie, but it definitely gave off more sci-fi vibes than it did horror.
Yeah,
vibes.
it was definitely more the sci-fi. And the funny thing is, I remember talking with someone about this because it was kind of like in the found footage kind of thing.
Yeah.
And someone's like, did that stuff actually happen? I'm like, no, because one of the astronauts is the same guy who plays in and then named off like several sci-fi TV shows like Sanctuary, and he was in Stargate Atlantis and just,
Yep.
you know, so many like other sci-fi TV shows. And I'm like, so no, it's not real. It's not a found foot, you know, like this wasn't something that, you know, actually happened.
Right.
But the fact that some people actually thought that was very interesting to me. I mean, it is more sci-fi than anything else because, I mean, it does involve space travel and aliens.
Yeah.
So,
Apollo 18. Is it a horror movie?
Nope.
Nah. And rounding out our list for part 3 of Is It or Is It Not a Horror Movie, we have the original Paranormal Activity. Once again, kind of found footage, security camera footage, them walking around the house with cameras. Really kind of hard to watch a lot of these sometimes, but they make for good movies because I think a lot of that makes it feel more real. Like it makes it feel like, hey, this happened, even though it's clearly a movie.
yep.
Paranormal Activity. Let's discuss because I feel like this is borderline too. There are some ghosts or something involved.
Yeah.
The ghosts make her do something
Ghosts,
to everybody.
demons.
Ghosts,
This
demons,
is- yeah.
perhaps. And in part 2, we find out there's a sister. In part 3, we find out some other stuff. And they made 25 of these things. I kind of like the Paranormal Activity, how each movie kind of tells a different story. Like in part 2, you're like, oh, that's the sister to so-and-so.
Yeah.
And the fact that you get some metaphysical things in there, being it's a ghost demon or whatever, I think...
Well, you know, like the thing I like about it though, you know, is it starts off slow. Like, you know, you're sitting there, you're watching the movie, but then it's like, oh wait, did that chair just move an inch on the screen?
Right.
And it's little things like that that just kind of add to the creepiness of like, oh, this could actually happen, you know, if you believe in ghosts.
All right, well, another one bites the dust, TJ. That's going to do it for us tonight. We hope you enjoyed.
Well, we didn't give the thumbs up, thumbs
Oh.
down on Paranormal Activity. We never even finished talking about Paranormal Activity.
Oh, well, keep talking.
I finished talking.
Oh.
But you know, usually you go into something else, and then you know we do the thumbs up, thumbs down. But
Okay.
you know,
Paranormal Activity, it was, you know, I got to put it in there. I got to put it in there as a horror movie because it checked all the boxes. It was rated R. It wasn't a slasher. The good guys did not win. And something metaphysical and whatever other rules I came up with. So
Yeah.
what do you think, TJ? Paranormal Activity?
definitely.
It's a horror movie. All right, that rounds out part 3 of our Is It or Is It Not a Horror Movie. We have 3 more coming your way. Like the video, comment below, tell us why we're right and or wrong, which is impossible, and what you would have done differently for each one of these. Don't forget to like the video. I already said that. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're still here, and smash that dinghy, because when you smash the dinghy, the dinghies get smashed. Okay, bye!